Viewers, I've come to explain to you something that happened in history many years ago. On a date like this, 15th December 167 BC, the soldiers of Antiochus Epiphanes entered the Temple of Jerusalem and desecrated it. They destroyed a lot of things and erected the image of Zeus, their god, on the altar of God, Jerusalem. That desecration led to a lot of issues. One, the Maccabean revolt. Some Jews accepted the new religion that Antiochus was bringing, stopping people, the Jews, from circumcising their children. Anyone who circumcised the child, the son, will be killed. And many suffered persecution. So today, in history, on a date like this, 15th of December, the month of Kislev, according to the book of Maccabees, when we read from First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 54, it says, on the 15th day of the month of Kislev, Antiochus erected the abominable idol of the invaders on the altar of the temple. Altars were built throughout the whole land of Judea. Incense were offered at the doors of their houses and the squares. Their wicked men tore up the books of the law that they found and burned them. They killed anyone they caught in possession of the book of the covenant, anyone who fulfilled the precepts of the law. So many evils were meted against the believers of Yahweh and the court of the Most High by the soldiers of Antiochus Epiphanes. Pigs were offered on the altar of God in Jerusalem. Other pagan kings that conquered Israel never did such harm. Neither Ben-Hadad, Tiglath-Pileser, even the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar, when he conquered Jerusalem, he never went that far. But this particular one, Antiochus Epiphanes, was like a madman, Epimanes. He did a lot of bad things to the Jewish religion. But after 3 years, he was suppressed by the hands of God. Because the revolters, the Maccabees, Judah Maccabeus and his brothers and his family, and all those who rallied around him, resisted, continued to revolt and reject that imposition until after 3 years, the enemy, the invaders, were subdued. And that led to the first, to the dedication of the temple and reconstruction of the altar. They destroyed and smashed the image that were erected there and had a celebration of rededication of the temple, which was called Hanukkah. And we get that from the book of Maccabees, chapter 4, First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 52. And I read, and it says, on the 25th day of the month of Kislev, they arose at dawn and offered the sacrifice prescribed by the law on the new altar of Holocaust, which they had built. It was precisely at the same time of the year and the date of the nations that had profaned it before. That is the origin of the feasts called Hanukkah in Israel. And that Hanukkah is called Feast of Dedication. The Jews from that day made it an everlasting memorial because that was the greatest insult the cult of Yahweh, Judaism, received. And so when they rededicated the temple, they celebrated it and made it an everlasting memorial. Every year from that time to today, the Jews celebrated that Hanukkah on the 25th day of the month of Kislev. But on the 15th day of the month of Kislev, they also remember the desecration of the temple. Earlier in the book of Kings, Jeroboam also built an altar at Bethel on the 15th day. So that date has been somehow a troublesome date. But the highest of them is the date of today, 15th of December, the month of Kislev. So we join the Jews to celebrate the defeat of their enemy. And we mourn also that such evil men existed that want to wipe away the court of Yahweh. But no matter what happens, light will always conquer darkness. The 2 days from now, on the 25th day of this month, we will celebrate that event as Christmas. Because even Jesus, in John chapter 10, verse 22, celebrated Hanukkah. But because it is English Bible, it's written the Feast of Dedication. And that dedication had its roots from the events of today. So we pray that God will help us to be patient, to trust Him, even when the going gets tough. No matter the persecution, hold your faith. We live in a generation that hates our faith, that oppress our faith. We don't give up. Darkness will never conquer light. God bless you.